Dave, I want you to be the leader of the pack right now. I want you to
Oh,
basically give the presentation about money,
okay.
uh, and what kind of opportunities that you may have with you, and just give a quick intro of who this guy is, this amazing man here we call David.
I'll tell you that, but DJ, boy, you got. I don't, I don't want to say anything. You make up your own mind. You can give me your opinion when we're done. But boy, I think you're going to be happy you got on this call this evening, okay? Because that's the problem today. Is you think about it, is we all use money, right? But we were very few of us were ever taught how money works. And so I'm going to take the time and I'll go through this with you here about 15 minutes. I want to highlight a bunch of stuff, and then you can tell us how you rate. You know what I mean? 10's good. We don't do anything under 5. So anyway, just so you know. So let me share this screen with you, and then we'll get rocking and rolling. And then maybe at the end, if anybody has any questions, you guys can you can bring them up, and Derek will answer them for you. You know what I mean? So that'll be a good thing here. But
Sure.
let me just do that. Yeah, here we go. Yeah, I guess hopefully you can all see this, true?
Yeah.
Okay, here we go. But anyway, I just want to get back to, we talk about being in business for yourself, the entrepreneurial roller coaster. But here's what's happening today with a lot of businesses out there. This pandemic and COVID and all this health crisis, a lot of businesses are saying, hey, how can I rebuild my business as fast as possible? That's what people are thinking, okay? Now, what they really should be thinking is, if I were starting my business from scratch, if I was going to start from scratch, what business would I build? And here's a couple of examples. If you look at Starbucks, we all heard of Starbucks, Trill, but if you look at Starbucks and just what they say, Starbucks was known, they built their whole business around the third place. That means the place between work and home that customers could go meet friends, get work done, or simply hang out. That was their whole motto. And then the world changed, right? And okay, here comes COVID, all kinds of stuff's happening. People can't get out. But what did they do? They rethought, they went back to the drawing board, and they say, hey, we're going to change our whole philosophy. That means now it's going to be called Starbucks Pickup, you know what I mean? And what they were doing there is they wanted people, they could call in the orders, people could drive through and get them, they could use Uber Eats, and now it was pick up and go. Before it was, hey, they were the third place. That means between work and home, you go there, hang out with your friends, get to meet people. But since you can't do it, they changed their whole business model. Like you look at Primerica, our company, we've been always a kneecap to kneecap across the kitchen table one-on-one. But guess what? Now, with all this happening, you couldn't do that. So what did Primerica do? Thank goodness they were forward thinking and spent a lot of money on technology. But all of a sudden, Zoom, got popular. And now we can do our whole business through Zoom. So the key is, how do you take adversity and turn it into an advantage? And that's really kind of the key as you go through here. But when you look at really 3 elements of a successful business, one, and getting back to Gigi, what you're talking about is, you got to start by having your own. You have your own personal wealth builder plan in place. You have to have your own financial GPS for you or your family. It all starts about understanding how money works. Then you got to be an expertise on your business. What do I mean by that? You got to focus on every day what makes you money, okay? And all the things that don't make you money, there's where you got to make sure you do what? You got to farm them out. You have to have other people working on your business where you're working in your business, okay? Because you got to spend 100% focus on doing. If it doesn't make you money, you got to either farm it out or cancel it. You know what I mean? So that's how you have to look at it, from there. But just to get back, I wanted me to tell my story a little bit. But I don't know if anybody's ever heard of that a guy by the name of Robert Kiyosaki, big in real estate, great guy. You know what I mean? He built his whole business learning how to play Monopoly. I won't get into that tonight, but incredible guy. But anyway, he wrote this book called The Cash Flow Quadrant. And he breaks your income up into 4 quadrants. One, you can be an employee. That way you can have a job. If you look at Webster, the word job stands for journey of broke. You know, they just give you enough money to keep you coming back. Even the government realizes that when you get paid, right, and you just look on your pay stub, doesn't it say, hey, here's your gross pay? You know what they call that? Because even the government knows you're dramatically underpaid. That's what they call it, gross, right? And then you get something called your net, and that's what kind of like trickles down, right? So when I got out of college, I couldn't find a job, so I had an uncle that got me a job, and I lasted there 2 years. And the reason I quit that was I just couldn't take advice from somebody that was more messed up than I was. Anybody ever feel like that? Or was it just me, right? So I figured, hey, if I'm going to do this, I'm going to get all beat up. I might as well what? Do it myself. And I didn't know anything about entrepreneurism. So what I did is I moved back and I missed a course called Opportunity Recognition. And I started a tree business and I got that up to 17 people. So if you had 17 people working for you, you would have really a business. Why don't we all agree with that? Till I met this guy and he said, Dave, you really don't have a business. That means the difference between having a business and self-employed is only one thing. If you walked away from your business for 30 days and you came back, what shape would it be in? Well, in my business, it would have been a disaster. It would have been a total disaster because why? People did not have a financial interest in my business. So that's what I always tell people. The key that you always want to do, even if you have a job, and I'm going to explain this more in detail, another big point about money, is you always want to have one foot and have some type of being an entrepreneur. There's a guy by the name of Sandy Balkins writes this, How to Lower Your Taxes. And he says, hey, and this guy's sharp. He worked for the government. He was a CPA. In the first chapter of his book, he said, if you don't have some kind of home-based business, you're double dumb because you're giving Uncle Sam way too much money, okay? So because there's two tax systems in our country today. You know, the one that drains your wealth and the one that helps you create wealth. So, and that's the beauty of this program. It's designed to do what? Help you create wealth. Because, and here's the difference. Like when I got involved in Primerica, I always wanted the business. So here I could build a business within a business, basically a brokerage business. You can build a business within a business. Well, guess what happened? I ended up in the hospital about 3 years ago, and I was out of work for 2 months. Well, guess what? My income never changed. That's because I had developed a passive income. Now, let's talk about what a passive income really is. A passive income means you don't have to show up, but the checks still do. Does that make sense? Because ultimately, we all want to get to be an investor. So there's two ways to do that. Build a business that develops, a passive income, and save and accumulate enough money that makes you money so you don't have to work. It's the only two ways you can go, unless, you know what I mean, you can get a major inheritance. Well, I missed that boat, so I'm out of that league, and I think most of the people here are. So, but look what happens from there. And I always like to ask people this question. When it comes to your financial health or your income, did you ever say to yourself, there's just got to be a better way, right? So, and why do you say that? You really got to take some time, especially now, if there's ever a time, trust me, if there's ever a time to start a business and develop multiple sources of income, I'm telling you, it's right now. Now is the time to do it. If you do any research and you look at all big businesses started in bad times, you know what I mean? If you have the right business, and that's what we're going to show you as we go through here. But think about this. Why do you work, or why do you go in business? It's really for one reason. Whatever you're doing, it's just a vehicle to do what? Have financial independence. And I'm going to get into that a little bit. What is financial independence? Financial independence is having enough money coming in so you never have to worry about money. You don't have to worry about writing a check out. Oh my God, do I have enough money in my account? You know what I mean? Where's it going to come next month? You know, that's, you know what I mean? So the key question is, will you be willing to change, alter, pay to have it? You know what I mean? So you really got, it all starts with self-examination, why it's so important, first of all, to have your own personal financial, I call it wealth builder program. And there's only two ways to become financially free. And one of those is to have your own plan. And all that is we teach people how to reposition existing assets. Just to get back what Dieter said, nobody's ever taught so much money. It doesn't matter, poor, medium, like, you'd be surprised. A lot of people make a lot of money, but they're just broke at a higher level. That's all it is. They don't realize how much money goes out the back door. All we do, it's kind of like that leaky bucket theory. All we do is plug as many holes as we can, keep that money in the home, and then take that money and get that money to work as hard for them as they work for it. And then the second thing, like I said before, is you must. There is no option here. If you really want to become financially independent, you have to have some type of home-based business. There's no option. There is absolutely no, and prove it to me if I'm wrong. Maybe 35 years ago, yeah, maybe there was some gray area, but not today. Our whole society, the good news, you're hearing it here first. You don't have to go out and do the research. We're doing all they're doing, not me, they're doing all the research for you. And that's why multiple streams of income. It's just like you go to the store, right? Everybody goes to the grocery. Well, you just don't go in there and every time you go in, you just buy one product, right? Milk, right? Milk. You're right. You go in, you load your cart up with all kinds of different stuff. But if you looked at what you bought a year ago and what you buy now, it's different stuff, right? So you always have to be willing, you know what I mean, to get out of your comfort zone from there.
Let me ask you another question. Do you have a career or a great job, but you can't seem to still get ahead? Truth be told, that was me, but not anymore. I get to do just what the hell I want to do nowadays, and I want you to do the same. And that's what Life Design is about. You come see us, and we take care of you. So my thing is, for you, I want to give you a much needed life.
Here's the typical, okay? So I want to be typical, right? I want to be the typical person. Well, here is the typical person. Did some financial planning, looks like he can retire at 62, which will be next year, and live comfortably for 11 minutes. You know what I mean? So think about that. You know what I mean? Because Social Security isn't going to it's not going to go away, but it's sure not going to give you the kind of quality of life that you deserve. You know what I'm saying? So now is the time to really get serious about taking a look at it. And here's what it's all about. When the government did a study here, and here's what they found out. Only 5% of America will be some type of financially independent or wealthy. Now just think about this. When you look at statistics, 94% of America work for the other, you know what I mean? 94% of America work for the other 6. Isn't that funny that 5% become financially independent? So doesn't that tell you something right there? Now, why is this happening? Okay, one, people don't have a plan. They don't have a current written program. You got to take what's in here and put it on paper. Number 2, just like Deidre mentioned, we're just not taught how money works. You know, the banks and insurance companies, they don't want to teach you. They're interested in one thing, doing a transaction or selling your product, okay? Then once you have a plan, you need a coach. Because what happens? People veer off to the right, it's like flying a plane from here to Texas when planes were going, right? You get it, they put it on automatic pilot. What happens? Wind blows it off, automatically pilot brings it back in. That's why you need a coach. And 2, I'm going to talk about ownership. And you gotta have control of your money, and you gotta be able to control your time and income. Here's your choice. You either build your dream or you're building somebody else. There's no gray area in the works. Because here's the good news: there's only 7 roadblocks that stop people from ever becoming financially independent. 1, lack of savings. I don't care how much money you make. You always got to do what? Pay yourself first. 10%. Why? Because that 90% that's left over, you're going to pay more attention to it. It's going to go further than 100% used to. I don't expect you to believe me, but if you do it, you'll find out it works, okay? Number 2, we talked about high taxes, 2 sets of tax laws. You got to be there. Here's another one. People are paying way too much for insurances. I won't get into that. And that's money going out the back door. And then here's where you need Wes and Mario. Because, man, like you're saying, debt. And especially now with everything going on, people are racked up debt. And like no tomorrow. is going on, because when you want to talk about emergency fund, what is it? It's a credit card paying somebody else 28% interest on your dollar. I think it's crazy. It's unbelievable. And do they want you to get out of debt? No. They never want you to get out of debt. All they want you to do is pay the interest off every month, right? That's all they ever want you to do. It's unbelievable. That's why on a credit card statement, where's the interest rate that you pay? The second page. Why not the first page? Because nobody, what do? Rip off the coupon. I put my $60 in. I'm good for another month, right? All right. You look at the next page. Oh my God, I'm paying 35%. Or somebody said, well, I know I missed a payment. Oh yeah, they like that. You know why? Up goes the interest rate, but nobody pays any attention to it because we don't know. We don't know. You know what I mean? And then again, like we're talking about, lack of knowledge is a big problem. Procrastination, number one. I see it every day. Drives me nuts. You know what I mean? People, oh yeah, David, I wanted to blah blah blah. And guess what? They never take the first step. Unfreaking believable. I gotta watch my language here, but unbelievable. Why would not you, if you can sit with somebody that's financially independent and you can learn what they do and you can copy. See, when I was in high school and college, I almost got thrown out how many times because I was great at copying. I came over to Prime America and guess what? They paid me a ton of money to copy. Unbelievable. Unfreaking believable. See, you guys are everybody, you got to lighten up, man. You just got to lighten up, enjoy life, because it only comes around once. Remember, tomorrow is the first day for the rest of your life. The good news is you got a clean slate. That means you can go any direction that you want to. But if it's not right in here, it's going to I tell you, they're going to screw you up, man. You listen to the news or you walk out the door, people can really start playing, the devil comes in there and we won't get into that. Anyway. So, and the last thing of it is, here's the big issue. Most people, the number one problem they got is one thing: income. The great news about why we're doing this is to solve the number one problem that people have. You know what I mean? It's unbelievable. Totally unbelievable. And that's the problem today. Nobody wants to fail, but people fail to plan. Because where do they go? They go to banks, insurance companies. All they do is what? Selling your product. They don't care about you. Does the bank, the insurance company, or government care if you become properly protected, debt-free, and financially independent? And the answer is no way. They could care less. All they care. Also, here's a good one. Think about this. Did you ever see a poor insurance company? Did you ever see a poor bank? Is the government poor? You know what I mean? But did you ever see poor people? Yeah. Why? Because the deck's stacked. Here they go again with this deck stacked against you. It's just unbelievable. If this don't fire you up, what I'm telling you, all I can recommend, go down, get a COVID test, have them check your heart, you know what I mean? Because there may be some difficulties here. These guys are probably never having you on again, so you guys are fortunate. Okay, so where do you start? Well, you got to get the education. You know what I mean? We can provide that. Number two, you have to have a plan in writing. Here's the neat thing. We don't charge you to do the plan. It's free. Because why? We need to educate middle America. We got to educate the masses. That's why we're expanding at an all-time high rate. Wall Street loves it, but they think, can Prime America get big enough, fast enough to have financial impact? Well, look at Prime America as an example. Started 10 years ago, its own public company, been around since 77, 10 years ago. In 10 years, now it's a Fortune 1,000 company. The 15,000 companies are trying to get into that thing. This company did it in 10. All I know is what? I'm just following the train, right? Okay. So here we go. See what your first thing you got to do, you got to get a plan, because you got to find where the leaky holes are. You got to be able to fix the credit. You got to make sure you're not paying for too much for, overpaying the taxes, overpaying debt, all kinds of things that we look at. Well, there's 21 different ways. Here's an example. If you look at all those things, no big one, but when you add them up, $1,000, how hard you have to work to make $1,000? You know what I mean? It's unbelievable. And then by having the plan, once you free up the money, or we show you how to make more money, you know where to be efficient with those dollars. Okay, from there. So here's another one. I'm gonna take all the good words out of this thing. Okay, either your assets are at work. Think about it, or your ass is at work. And I'm not kidding you, because once you think about it, if you don't save and accumulate money, or you don't have a passive income stream, what do you got to do? You only have one option. You got to work. You know what I mean? I don't know what else you're going to do. It's unbelievable. And here's the seventh wonder of the world. Okay, it's called the Rule of 72. It teaches us how compound interest works. Okay, if you
Take
go
a listen, guys. Take a listen. This is very important right
yeah.
here.
Think about this. What's the bank pay you right now? Less than 1%. Well, that's this because you know Marion West and they're good guys. They're going to get you 3 because they're good guys. Okay, but if you divide 3 into 72, it tells you how many years it takes your money to double, right? So if you divide 3 into 72, 24 years later, you know what I mean? And you wonder why people are in poverty or hurting. Because who can wait 24 years for your money to double? You know what I mean? It's unbelievable, right? All we do is teach people where the banks and insurance companies put your money when you can get the same returns. I'm going to prove that to you here in a minute. I'm going to give you actual numbers, okay? So at 12%, every 6 years, the money doubles. Same money, same time. Which one was going to get you further in retirement? 2.5 million or 40 grand? Well, geez, Dave, I thought the bank was my buddy. Yeah, they are your buddy because you're just helping them build wealth. You remember, you either build your dream or you build somebody else's dream. There's no gray, okay? And you just look at the S&P 500, you know, but here's what I want to show you. This is huge. You know, when you're talking about investing, I'm not talking about real estate. I'm just talking about, you know, conventional, okay? There's 3 places you can put money. You can put money in equity, stocks, companies. That's all in there. You can put it in bonds or you can put it in cash. That's like CDs, right? So if you went all the way back to when the market started, all right, we got, now remember, you got to factor in taxes and also inflation. Inflation means things cost more, right? So if you had your money in stocks, your account today would be worth over 1.1 million. If you put it in bonds or debt instruments, oh, here we go, back to the debt, right? Your $10,000 today would be worth 17. To me, back then, back in 1926, you could buy a whole lot more for 10 grand than you can today for 17,000. And if you got sucked into the banking system, your money in the bank with tax and inflation would actually have lost you money, right? So people say, well, I don't know about the stock market. I don't know. Okay, let's talk about I don't know. So if I ask you right now, if you invested money with me 3 months ago, what type of return do you think you'd have right now? Give me just throw out a number. Throw out a number. Okay. I'll throw it out. Look at this. 3 months. Here it is. Facts. I always deal with facts. Look at this. 3 months. 33.58%. What the hell? You deserve it, right? Or else you want to go to the bank. Oh, okay, I got a couple pennies. Okay, well, Dave, that's just 3 months. That don't count. Okay, let's go back 5 years. Well, you know, the market, okay, here it is. 5-year return, okay, 20.76. Divide that into 72 and see what your money doubles, all right? And you wonder why I get fired up. Because what we teach makes difference. It's either you win or you lose. You're either a victor or the victim. You know what I mean? I'll get fired up, so bear with me, almost done.
Fired up, Dave.
When you look at, now here's what you got to do. When you look at, say, okay, well, I don't know if I want to do Primerica, but let's listen to what Primerica did and follow the bouncing ball. When you look at Primerica, what they did, they went around the world and they looked at all kinds of different business models. And I suggest you do that. Okay, why? Because what they did is they cherry picked. They went back in and they looked at that and they said, hey, we like some things about franchise, some things we don't like, so let's take the good ththings out of it. Let's take a look at MLO stands for multi-level marketing. Oh, we're not multi-level marketing, but we took some of it out of there, right? You know, we're not a direct marketing company, and we're not really a broker agency, but that's how tax-wise we're listed. We're actually a broker's broker. That means you can come in, you can build your own business inside the business, and unbelievable. Remember I said you want to concentrate where you're making money. You know what I mean? And that's what Primerica allows you to do. But when you look at it, and you look at multiple, here's the key. Let me ask you this question, okay? If you spent $200 on a dinner, right, would you go in and eat the salad and go home and leave all the lobster and the steak and everything else on the table?
Okay.
Anybody here? Okay, I know we got some vegetarians or whatever that stuff is, that green stuff and all that, you know what I mean, they throw on the table. Whatever that is, would you leave all that stuff on the table and go home?
Absolutely
No,
not.
no. But think about this. If you don't have multiple streams of income, that's exactly what you do. You spend all the time building a relationship, helping the client, solving one problem, and you let all this other stuff on the table. Good business, bad business. You make your decision, you know what I mean, from there. But that's the neat thing that, you know, and those are the things you look at. If you're interested, you know what I mean, you can track me down. I'll put my information here on it. But here's five questions that you want to ask yourself. One, do you have a current written financial plan? If not, why not? Okay, what age you plan to retire, and do you know your financial independence number? What is that? That's the amount of cash you're going to need to save and accumulate by the time that you retire, so you can withdraw money out of there to replace part of your current income stream. And you got to add in inflation and taxes to that. You know, question 3, what would you alter, change, or do to have financial freedom? And when it comes to your financial health, have you ever said it's got to be a better way? If so, you know what I mean, what are you going to do about it? And on a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being the highest, you know, what is your desire to become property protected, debt-free, and financially independent? You got to ask yourself those questions. And if you say, hey, there's got to be a better way, then you can get a hold of Wes, you can get a hold of me. Our job is to help you find the what? The better way. And the nice thing about it is, it doesn't cost you any money to find out. So, but that's what I'm saying. When you look at it, that's you know, here's my information here. They take a snapshot of it, give me a call, love to help you if you even have questions. But remember, there's only 2 things that you can control out there. One is your attitude, right? Every morning you get up and you can control that. And 2 is your activity, meaning doing the right things with your time. See, when you're doing things, you gotta look at this from an entrepreneur story. Does it make me money or does it cost me money? Well, if it costs me money, you gotta do what? You got to find out the way to make money, because you're either spending money, right, or you're making money. There's no in between, you know what I mean, from there. So anyway, that's my 15 minutes of fame. So anyway, hopefully that makes sense, man. You guys all deserve it, man. Make it happen. Do not take the bunker mentality. Okay, let's make it happen.
Absolutely, man. Wonderful job. That's what I'm talking about.
All right.
I love it. I love it when you fire up like that, Dave, man. It gets me excited.
Oh, this is nothing. You wait till after this meeting.